Good morning, people, and welcome back to Dave's Diary. A different start screen for the entries, but I was just walking past it and I thought, oh, that's quite nice. Now, back out to the workshop. Why? Well, it's the workshop. But this video is all about me being an absolute muppet. Yesterday, I did some work out here, and very happy with the outcome, but the sander was, how would you say, not 100% dust free by any stretches of the imagination. So I thought, bugger it, I'll try and cobble together an adapter, one that you can actually see there now, and that was the point. I'll cobble together an adapter that I can hook my vacuum cleaner up to, because after all, the wee bag that was with it, not very good at all for that sort of stuff. Good, but not good enough. So I used some parts like this, tried to cobble it together, didn't work, so I used it just with the bag alone. Knowing that that's not a good thing, the amount of dust that was coming off of it, I went across to the local supply where I got this actually from, the tool store, and it was called the tool shed actually, in where I live, and asked them, can they source an adapter for me, because I can't get anything really to fit on it. One of the people there, she said, well, didn't it come with an adapter? And I says, well, no, you think they would, wouldn't you? Anyway, they were going to do a wee bit of, contacting the local suppliers and what have you, and see whether they could get one. I came home, was doing some work, which I'll talk about in a tick, and I thought, you really would think there would be an adapter in the box, wouldn't you? So I've got the box probably 2 feet away from me, so I spun round, opened it up and had a look inside, and, geez, what an absolute idiot. The adapter was sitting in the box that clicks onto the back of the sander. I had to ring them straight away. In fact, I rang them and say, hey, look, I'm a muppet, and can you please not worry about finding that adapter anymore, because I've got the damn thing. I think we just get so focused in on what we're doing that we sometimes don't think fully what we're doing. And like, I could have just spun around. As I say, the box is only about there it is there. It just shows you how close it was to me. Anyway, long story short, this adapter still has problems of connecting onto the vacuum cleaners. However, with another adapter that I've got, I was able to put a PVC pipe, which it is able to hook onto my vacuum cleaner, because all of my dust creating items hook up via, as you probably can see, there's whole lots of PVC connectors up there. It looks rough, but it works really well. Down to the mitre station, PVC pipe. Even on this wee vacuum cleaner here, which hooks onto the track saw, PVC pipe. Here, you really do not want to have a look at that, but that has got lots of little PVC pipe pieces that all cobble together from the different sizes down to the correct size I want to hook up to my vacuum cleaner. Even over there, hoses with PVC pipes. All the pipes in that are slightly not the right size, so I've got to cobble them together. That big one down there actually hooks on with the chip collector there. That hooks on to my bench saw, and that's actually a toilet pan connector. It's got the rubber seal and it just goes on perfectly. Easily available. You don't have to get too clever. The seals are good because it's a friction fit and it's dust. So yeah, router station, PVC pipe, etc. So I use them a lot. In fact, that one, that pan adapter there, not only goes on my saw, it actually goes on the planer thicknesser. And they just slip on, do their job. So, yeah, you might as well make use of what's available rather than you're going to have tools that have got all different sorts of sizes of fittings, and it's having a universal one that is a bit tricky, because as you get different, machines from different suppliers, they have different hoses. We don't have a standard, and trying to make it a standard is a bit of a nightmare, when I'm happy for that to be the case. Anyway, I can hook this up to my dust extractor now, so yay. Now, yesterday I made another video, which I think I might delete, and also talking about me being a bit of a muppet. I thought, because I was at the stage of tuning in the saw into position and tilt and what have you for the mitre station, I thought, I might as well check the square and plumbness of it. So I did. It needed adjusting ever so slightly, but it did need it, and so I did. And in the process, I was getting errant readings for the squareness this way. And I thought that odd, because I'd adjust it, cut. No, it's the opposite direction. Give it a little tap, because you have to loosen off 4 screws here to get it, to move. And I couldn't figure it out. And as I was so I made a video, saying about doing this and how you can get it square. Yeah. And then I says, like this, and I went to I just moved it, and I could see a tiny, tiny little bit of movement down there, where this mounts to this. So, yeah. And I thought, oh, that's not quite right. Maybe my nice 12-inch or the 305 saw, it's that mitre saw, yeah, maybe I've broken it, worn it out or something. But no, what it was while I was adjusting the tilt, I didn't do this up. It was in its position now, and I was happy, but I can see it, you probably can't, but this whole thing's moving relative to the base of it. And of course, having left it there because it was now square, I went on to adjust this, and if this moves in any way, ain't no way, Sonny Jim, are you going to get it square? And that's where I was getting the errant out of square results. So not only does it stop it tilting by tightening that knob, but it stops any movement in that connection which would affect this. So yeah, I was a muppet again, and I think it just comes down to you get focused in on one aspect of things and you forget to have a little bit more of a thought about what you're actually doing. Right. This mitre station isn't complete yet by a long stretch of the imagination. It's not. But as I was tuning that in, I thought, right, previously I'd had in my old top whole lots of holes in the top, which I don't really want to do with this version. But those holes were registered with, I don't know where but 6mm pins. And the face of the pin, in this case, this is a larger version of it, the face of the pin was registered perfectly to the tooth of the blade. And that meant that, like I could come here and say, oh, look, I want a 500 piece long. I could put the piece in, pop it up against one of the pins, the 6mm pin that was drilled in the top, cut it, and I know that to within the tolerance that I needed in that scenario was 500 mils. If I wanted it 450, I could put a 50mm packer in here and I could cut it and be 450. It was very, very handy and was used quite often because of the sort of things I do. So I thought about doing it here as well. And I thought, well, I've got a thing called an MFT style of top, and I've got a lot of accessories that I'm creating for it that could work in here. Maybe I should start drilling some holes in here for using those items. One of the ones that I want straight away is a stop block for measurement. And I thought, if you don't get it perfect at this stage it will ever haunt you later on. So let's make an auxiliary top that can go. You lose a bit of depth capacity and a bit of the accuracy of this, but it's okay. Let's make a top like this that can sit along here, support your material, which was a bit of an issue for quality of cut. Let's put in here the bench dog holes. Oh, that's a good idea. And it also means that I can move this in and out, register it to the teeth of the saw on this side, clamp it in place, start using it, and I can remove it when I need, and I've got no holes in the top. Now, I've got no opposition to having a few holes in there, but I don't want it riddled with holes that I'd probably need to make the things work the way I want them to. Right, so I thought, well, let's make use of this plate and have all the holes, along here in the different increments, so that I can put the accessories in, or bench dogs. So I don't know whether it's necessary to have the surface of the bench dog, this part, registered to the saw blade, but because I think that's too much of an ask for accuracy. But it would be possible to have a mini parallel arm set up here so I can tune it in perfectly, or the little threaded component that adjusts it, so that as you're adjusting it, you can have a block in here with the block in here registered with these pins nice and firmly, and then you can have the adjustment this end, so then you get all the variability that you want. If it's not the right size, you can jump it along a little bit, etc. So I can see the inclusion of an auxiliary top, although it would be nice simply to have it in the workbench, in mitre station. But yeah, I don't like the holes, so many holes being drilled in the tops for just practical reasons. Might be asking, I'm trying to do two things, and I keep it pretty tidy, because it is used as a workbench sometimes, but without the MFT holes in it, MFT, all the dog holes, bench dog holes. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do in the meantime. Anyway, but here's another way of looking at it. Trial it on this. If it works, yay. If it doesn't, then I don't have any holes in the top, the good top of the mitre station, that are going to annoy me, because they would. So this is a good test bed, you could say, for making any holes that I may. The only holes I'd put in here are registration holes, to be fair, for this sort of thing, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit precious, which I probably am. After all, I can replace the tops, but who wants to do that too often? And besides which, it's sitting and working really well at the moment, and let's keep it that way for a while. Okay, well that's it. I'm going to have a wee bit of a fiddle here, putting in some holes, and yeah, I might even have to break out my bench again for the drill press, because it is. Well, that was the other thing too. In finding problems, that when I was doing the bench dog holes, which are a lot, I tuned in that accessory fence on the drill station and got it so that it was dead nuts accurate. So I was really, really happy with that. What it was telling me is that little, because it's not an expensive, not a clever, quality drill press at all. This bed, while it can tilt this way and can rotate around, of course, is not straight this way. It's a little bit low on the front. and there's no adjustment that I am aware of that can alter that. So that's a bit of a pain. So I'm going to have to make a drill table, like a drill press auxiliary table that is tunable. And I think the easiest way to do that is to have a couple of, I could pack it, shim it, or I could have a couple of grub screws or something underneath and just adjust on the position where it needs the adjustment. Yeah, so that's probably going to be a little project that I have to consider. It would probably be best to have in this, I'm just thinking as I'm talking, it's always a good thing, right? It would be best to have a 3-position leveling facility so that you could tilt it in all directions. Not necessarily this way, because I can, as I said, I can adjust this square, but a bolt at the back, a bolt and a bolt, means that I can then lift and lower it. I can still tilt it, but I can lift and lower it much easier. Yeah, anyway, there's these things, project after project, just to make shortcomings work. One of the shortcomings is me, because of that. That sander adapter really, really annoyed me. Oh well, it's been resolved. Rightio, that's it. I'm going to wander off, get some holes drilled, get myself sorted, and move forward. There's too many side projects, so... Right, well that's it. Get some work done, David, is what I'm telling myself. So I'll better. Okay, see you in the next one now. Bye.